It was an autumn evening in 1952. As Selin walked deeper into the forest, the soft whisper of the wind accompanied her. She had come with her family to spend their summer in this village, which had been filled with strange tales she'd heard over the years. The elders of the village often spoke of eerie happenings in the woods, but Selin, a 20-year-old woman, always found such. That evening, Selin was alone in the old wooden house on the outskirts of the village. Her family had gone to visit relatives in another part of the village, and she had decided to enjoy the peaceful evening by herself. However, as the sun set and the darkness deepened, the silence of the village began to unsettle her. The wind had grown colder, and the rustling of the trees felt more ominous. As she sat by the window, she suddenly... At first, she thought it was just the wind, but the whisper became more distinct, almost like a human voice. "Come," said the eerie, thin voice. Selin, unable to believe her ears, moved closer to the window. For a moment, she stood frozen, unsure of what to do. A voice inside her screamed, "Don't go," but curiosity won out. Gathering her courage, she opened the door and stepped outside. The moonlight barely filtered through the trees. The whispers hadn't stopped. They had grown clearer. "Come, find me. T." As she ventured deeper into the forest, the cold began to seep into her skin, and the darkness seemed to close in around her. She quickened her pace, feeling as though something or someone was watching her. She glanced around but saw no one. Yet, the whispers now surrounded her. Suddenly, the ground in front of her seemed to open up, and Selin stumbled, falling to the earth. As she slowly got up and looked around, she began to feel the truth of the eerie stories she had heard about the forest and the people who had mysteriously disappeared over the years. In the hole before her, faint human-like figures emerged, with pale, lifeless faces staring blankly at her. Their eyes were empty, their souls lost. Selin's heart pounded. She struggled to stand, but the figures were moving toward her. The whispers were no longer soft. They had become high-pitched screams filling her ears. "Come, stay forever," they moaned. Selin started running. Her heart raced in terror. But no matter how fast she ran, the figures seemed to be closing in on her. She had lost her way in the forest. As she frantically searched for a way out, she stumbled upon an old village cemetery. The gravestones were toppled and covered in ivy. Her eyes locked onto a large, crumbling stone with names from the early 1900s engraved on it. One name caught her eye: Selin Aiden. Selin's heart stopped. How could this be? She was only 20 years old. The date on the stone marked her birth and this very year. Panicking, she backed away, only to feel a cold presence behind her. She turned to see a shadowy figure slowly approaching. The figure resembled a woman, her own reflection, but its eyes were hollow. "You belong to me," the figure said in a chilling. Selin tried to scream, but no sound escaped her throat. As the soulless apparition moved closer, the cold darkness of the forest seemed to swallow her whole. She tried to run, but her legs wouldn't carry her. In that moment, she realized that the forest wasn't just a place where lost souls lingered. It was a place where the living would one day join them. The shadows around her closed in, enveloping her completely. Selin was never seen in the village again. When her family returned, they searched but found no trace of her. Over the years, her disappearance became just another terrifying tale told about the haunted forest. Yet, the elders of the village claimed that every autumn, those who dared enter the woods could still hear the whispers. "Come, stay forever."